Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines, and I'm with Living the One Light. I'm really excited to be making this video. So this has been coming for a few weeks, which is this is going to be part 3 of the tips for a highly Uranian time. And I'm guessing it'll be the last of this little series, but I don't know. We'll see. But really, what will be the culminating moment of these videos that I've been doing for you is going to be the free gathering that I'm holding on April 19th. So April 19th, 2024, the day before the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. If you haven't signed up for the free event and you're interested, please sign up. You don't need to be there live. You're welcome to be there live. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific time, again on Friday, April 19th, 2024. But it'll also be recorded. So you can sign up, enjoy it anytime you like, however often you like. And yeah, so please join us if that interests you. But today I'm really, really excited because the spirit world is wanting me to lead us into a channeled guided experience similar to how I did in the other 2 videos. And if you haven't seen the part 1 and the part 2 of the tips for a highly Uranian time, certainly go back and watch them. I don't feel like you need to watch them, sequentially, or they do build on each other energetically. But if you feel called to watch this one first, great, go for it. It's totally fine. They stand alone as their own thing. But if you feel called to go back and watch part 1 or part 2 or both, they are available whenever you like. And yeah, they definitely, especially part 2 leads into part 3. So you might want to do that. But what we're going to be discussing, or the topic of part 3 today, is really in a nutshell going to be about connecting with the web of divine intelligence. And so I'll say more about that in a minute. On a basic level, and I'm going to mostly let them channel today, but on a basic level, what that is talking about is that as we're being guided and supported to come into these new ways of being and coming into this remembering of our wholeness, this time of remembering. And I made the video just a couple of days ago, the solar eclipse update number 2. Highly recommend you go back and watch that if you haven't watched that, because so many important things I feel like came through in that video in particular about this being a choice moment to fully come into remembering on a cellular energy body level that we are whole, that we are one, all of that. And of course, all of these videos and these messages all fit together, and you don't need to watch any particular one, but if they call to you, definitely please enjoy them. But that one really, really stuck out for me and is really relevant to now what I'm going to be doing in this video. So bottom line, as we're moving into being held to come into this time of great remembering of our wholeness, of our divinity, of how we're being asked to show up in the world, one concept that the spirit world is emphasizing is really, really key to get not just intellectually, but to really get it on a body level and an experiential level. And they're going to guide us into, at least one way of doing that is this notion of the intelligence of the divine, as opposed to what we typically think of as our ways of perceiving and knowing things. So often, especially for those of us who have been educated in a Western system, often we have certain ways we think of knowledge and time and planning and all of that as pretty much A to B to C to D in a linear, progressive fashion, right? But what they're really wanting to emphasize is that there's another way, another version of intelligence. There's infinite ways, really, but there's this one particular way they're wanting to help us to click into, which is the web, the divine web of intelligence. So that when we're trying to come into um, the knowing that comes through ourselves as the being that is us, as the divine tuning fork that is us, it might sometimes be a linear knowing that we're used to, when we learned one equals two, A, B, C, D. Those ways of knowing are not bad and certainly are useful. And there's this whole other set of ways of knowing that we've forgotten and we're remembering now. And one of those is to come into clicking back into the literal web of the existence, of the web of existence, the web of divine light. So, okay, so that's my kind of opening to the topic that we're going to be getting into once we go into the channeling. But before we get there, I want to just show you a little bit of the astrology going on right now and then coming up in the next several weeks, because we just finished. So I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. So yesterday was the incredibly powerful total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024. And it certainly was very powerful for me, just energetically. I needed to be very quiet for many hours afterward. And yeah, I could still feel it in my body, in my being. And now as we're moving into the rest of April, and especially once we get into May, the energies are they take a big shift. It's a big change of energy. With, like I said in my last video, what it feels to me like basically is that on a certain level, the eclipses have helped us to shift things and to turn, like I used the analogy of wringing out water out of a wet washcloth or something, but it's like to break apart the known structures we've been in certain ways energetically, so we then can move into coming into this totality, this oneness of who we are. And then with the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, it's like we can really come into ourselves as the divine tuning fork that is of us, come into singing the song of the divine in our own unique way, vibrationally. I mean that vibrate, like as a being, not only in our mind, but really as the whole being that we are. Yeah, and then after the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, which is happening on April 20th or 21st, depending on where you are in the world, then we have a full moon in Scorpio, and then we have a new moon in Taurus. And also Jupiter enters Gemini soon after that. And yeah, so things just start to shift. It becomes a different kind of different quality of energy. So I personally only just begun to feel into it because the eclipses were so big that my energy body didn't feel ready yet to feel into them. But just as of today, I'm at the very beginning of being able to feel into them. So I have been. And I just want to show you a couple things that are coming up for me because it is pretty significant astrologically, and you might enjoy kind of just knowing it and keeping track in yourself, a couple of different things. So let me show you the charts. All right. So there's a lot here. You can just ignore most of it. But I really want to show you, this is the chart of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which for me in California will be on April 20th. For you in lots of other parts of the world, it'll actually be April 21st. But so here's Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. 21 degrees of Taurus. And something I'm going to just touch on here, because it's going to be a theme for about a couple of months at least. Although, well, anyway, yeah. The theme is this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is at 21 degrees of Taurus, which is not quite on the Pleiades, but it's getting pretty darn close. And, you know, who's been right at in the Pleiades area of our sky, the Pleiades area, is Sedna. So I'm not going to like dive deep into this yet, but I probably will in future videos. I just wanted to mention that as we now start to move into the energetic of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction more fully and more freely, we're moving away from the, you know, we're still absolutely in the energetic of the eclipses. I mean, we're gonna be for months, but we now can kind of, at least my psyche can kind of move on a little bit. And so my psyche notices, my being notices that as we're moving into these energies, my attention goes to the Pleiades. And so we're going to have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction not too far from the Pleiades, but what's happening is that Jupiter is moving pretty quickly, going to be moving pretty quickly beyond Uranus. It will conjunct Sedna in May, and then it will enter Gemini. And as Jupiter is doing that, it's going to be moving through the part of the sky where the Pleiades are. In addition, and I'll show you the other two more charts in a second. In addition, when we have the new moon in Taurus on May 7th, that new moon will also be in this part-ish of the sky. It'll be at 18 degrees of Taurus, actually. And anyway, so the sun will then, after that new moon, be moving more toward the Pleiades, and and you know, just in general, I just want to, my attention is going toward the Pleiades. And I think their energetic is going to be really highlighted for the rest of April into May, and maybe even lingering a bit. Well, definitely lingering for a long time, in the sense that Sedna is going to be sitting right there. You know, Sedna moves very, 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 very slowly. It has an 11,800 year orbit. So it's doing this dance between, Sedna is doing a dance between Taurus and Gemini for this year, as it's trining Pluto, doing its dance between Capricorn and Aquarius. And so Sedna, if nothing else, is generally kind of in that area of the sky with the Pleiades for a long time. Yeah, so that, just my attention is going toward the Pleiades. And again, I'll say more about that, I'm sure, in coming videos, but I just want to touch on that. Okay, so then real quick, I'm going to skip ahead to then we're going to have so the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is happening on April 20th or 21st, depending on where you are in the world. Then just a couple days later, 2 or 3 days later, we're having a full moon in Scorpio. And I'll make a whole video just on this full moon in Scorpio. But just to point out, again, I'm just kind of like giving you little touch points that you can take with you over the coming weeks. Just to point out, this full moon is going to be at 4 degrees of Scorpio, with the sun at 4 degrees of Taurus. And and Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And Pluto is going to be at 2 degrees, stationing to go retrograde. It's going to be stationing to go retrograde at 2 degrees of Aquarius, which means it's going to be, Pluto will be squaring the sun and the moon. And Pluto rules the moon on this full moon. So it is a very powerfully Plutonian, Scorpionic Scorpio full moon. And again, I'll drop more deeply into what arises for me in that, but I can just say, just off the top of my head, I mean, for sure, for sure, some of the themes of this full moon are absolutely supporting us to ground into our true power. What is the real true source of power? Well, the ultimate source of power is ourselves as the divine, right? So what's so fascinating to me is that we're having this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, which, as I've talked about, and I'll get more into today, is really helping us to come into that divine tuning fork that is ourselves and sing the song of the divine as our us uniquely and then together. And then just 2-3 days later, we have this powerful, powerful, deep Plutonian full moon in Scorpio, helping us to, again, ground into, okay, so I now, I get it that I'm this tuning fork of the divine. I'm singing the divine song. And now I'm going to ground in to the reality that I am the power of existence. That, if I'm singing the song of the divine, I have the support of my soul. I have the support of source itself. I have the support of the power of everything to be me. That's just a basic level looking at this full moon. I'll go into it more in another video, probably in a few days. But that's just what comes up immediately. And then, real quick, I also want to show you the new moon in Taurus, which I already mentioned. So, so like I said, so this new moon in Taurus is going to be on May 7th. And like I said, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which is on April 20th or 21st, will be at 21 degrees of Taurus. And this new moon in Taurus on May 7th will be at 18 degrees of Taurus. So I'm just pointing that out to say that anything in your chart that's getting really highlighted by the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction will also get highlighted by this new moon on May 7th. So if there's some thing going, in your life that's really alive, really, really getting supported by this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, like for me, let's say my the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is happening essentially on my own Jupiter in my 9th house. So just as an example, my work, my calling as a teacher in the world is is kind of revolutionizing itself, right? It's like it's opening up so much into the unique song that is me in how I'm being asked to hold space in the world. And any of you who've been watching me at all have seen that happening, because all of a sudden I'm going, wait a second, that's not how I'm called to do astrology. I'm called to do it this way. Oh, wait a minute. No, actually, like it keeps evolving and it keeps deepening in an opening in these really, really powerful ways that I'm feeling called more and more and more to be pretty really be stepping out and doing it in the way that's unique to me. And it's a little scary, honestly. There's just almost nobody out there doing it the way I am. But that's Uranus conjunct Jupiter on my Jupiter in my 9th house, right? And so this new moon will also be very, very close to my Jupiter in my 9th house. So when we have this new moon on May 7th, then whatever is getting highlighted by the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction right now will also be supported to come into a new beginning energy with this new moon at the same basic part of the sky. And still, this new moon will be with Uranus and Jupiter will still be basically there. Still, Jupiter's moving on, but it's still energetically very much with that new moon and with Uranus. So just like with anything, the energy of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction it's not just a one-day thing. It's been building for months. And this May 7th new moon is going to be really, really beautiful, powerful energy of supporting us to really get it, to really begin, whatever new cycle is meant to begin in that area of your life, or that part of your being, or just who you are. Yeah, the May 7th energy is really gonna support that. And you'll see that by then Sedna has moved now into Gemini, and and that Jupiter is really, really heading toward the Pleiades, which is where Sedna is. And yeah, so then as we move further into May, then that Pleiades energy is getting even stronger and stronger and stronger. But I'll say more about that coming up down the line. Yeah, and there's so much. I'm already just noticing. There's so much. There's so much I could say. I'm gonna pause there though. I'm gonna stop myself. Because I'll just be talking for days, and I'll make more videos. So not to worry. Okay. Now, all right. Now I'm going to come into the channel part of this video. All right. So, yeah. So, and again, if you haven't signed up yet for the free event on April 19th, please absolutely sign up for free. If you're interested in possibly doing any of the sacred sharing circles that I'm going to be starting in May, I have created a little sheet where you can let me know what your interests are and what dates in the month you might be available. I'm going to link all that here. Anyway, I may say more. I'm saying all these things before I channel, just because then after I channel, I can uh, have all of that out of the way, and I can just be present with the energy. So, all right. Let's see what wants to come through. Okay, hello and welcome. So today, as Martha has stated, this part 3 of what we would like to support you in and convey for you about this highly Uranian time is today really about coming into a knowing and a remembering of the entire grid of existence, what that is, how to feel it in your own body, your own being, how to perceive it, see it, feel it in all things, to feel how it, when you connect with it, it may help healing in your own body. It may shift the way you perceive things in general, what you know to be life itself in your body, in your being, in your mind, in your heart. And also, a third part of that is to come into a knowing of what time and space are. So, just to prepare your body and yourself to feel and experience what we are conveying here today, we offer for you to just take a long, slow, deep breath and to get really comfortable wherever you happen to be. If you're standing, sitting, walking, lying down, just come fully present into your body, into your whole being. Come fully present into the reality that you are wholeness. It is just absolutely true. You are the divine. You are source itself. You are the one of all that is. And you all are also uniquely you, all at the same time. So as you settle into your body, we're going to speak about a few truths, a few concepts we want to convey, and then we're going to help you to experience it in yourself, in your being, in your body, in your own way. So the main thing we want to convey first is that the reality of all things, the reality of all of time, all of space, all of existence is that everything is the totality of the one. And in this totality of the one, in the whole time-space continuum, and even beyond the time-space continuum into the void, is only the one. There's nothing other than the one. So in the current typical human concept of time and space, there is a here and there is a there. And then there is a now and there is a then. So there's a difference between past and present and future. In a sense, there's again this illusion of separation of time and an illusion of separation of space. And certainly there's a truth to the experience of time and space being differentiated from different times, different parts of time being differentiated from each other, and different parts of space certainly being differentiated from each other. But the ultimate reality is that it's all the one. So in the time of forgetting, a huge component of the forgetting has been this illusion of time and space as being concepts of separation, but they're not. They're just part of the one. So again, because there is ultimately no time and no space, all time and all places are simultaneous with each other. So you can imagine existence. We often talk about existence as being like a womb or a chrysalis. Another way you can imagine it is like a pyramid-shaped crystal. So within that crystal or that womb or that chrysalis is all of time and all of space as the one. So when you're engaging in this way of perceiving and knowing and experiencing life as wholeness, then every moment of time and every place in all of space, all of places that exist anywhere, they're all encapsulated in that chrysalis or that womb or that pyramid-shaped crystal. So often again, in most current human concepts and perception of time and space, there's a feeling that there's a need to go backward or forward in order to find the future or find the past or project oneself into the future or the past. And there's a need to travel to get from one place to another place. But again, the reality is that it is all the one. And when you're now in this time of remembering, we're wanting to really convey this, in a sense, lesson of what it is to be back in the ways of knowing the remembering. And this is one of many, 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 many concepts we may convey, or you may just spontaneously remember on your own, or maybe you'll be supported to remember in other ways. But this is a crucial and key remembering that in order to tap into all things, you really don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to go forward. You don't need to go backward. You don't need to travel. It's all right here. You can go forward and backward and travel. That's absolutely fine. At the same time, you don't have to. It's right here now. And this remembering has so many consequences. It is a pretty radical shift from the ways in which you've been operating, most of you, in the time of forgetting. When you come into this remembering, so much can change because it's just a radical reconfiguring and coming back to the reality of yourself and the reality of the all that is, all as one. So today we're not even going to attempt to name all those ways in which that changes because it will just simply happen in you. And we would love for you to experience it and know it on your own. And then we would love for you to share what comes alive for you. And we would love for you to continue to be supported in these videos and in other ways, whatever calls to you. So today, to support you to come into this remembering of this way of being as the wholeness of the light grid of existence and of the web of the intelligence of the divine, literally, with all of time and all of space as the one. We're going to offer you and invite you to take a long, slow, deep breath, and we're going to bring you back to what we conveyed in part 2 of tips for a highly Uranian time. So if you haven't heard that video, you absolutely can go back and listen to that. You don't have to. You're more than welcome and more than invited to listen, keep listening now to this video. And then if you feel called, you can go back and more completely do that second video again, and even part 1 as well. But this part 3 does build on part 2. So we're just going to review a little bit to help you come back into, or for the first time, come into what we held space for in part 2, because it was pretty pivotal and many of you had very very strong responses to it, and even wrote about crying and coming into, quite a big life shift with that part too. So we're gonna, again, just invite you to take a long, slow, deep breath, come fully into your body, into your being. Feel yourself here as Earth, as cosmos, as the divine, as the all it is. So what we did together with you in part 2 was we described how any and all structure of anything in life has, in a sense, a structure. There are many different components of the structures of your body and your being, but one of the structures of your body and being that has laid dormant during much of this time of forgetting is what we could call spindles of light. So we used the analogy that it's sort of like children's blocks, or not exactly Legos, but if you imagine um, a child's set of building blocks for creating log cabins and things like that. If you imagine every single one of us, every single one of you has always had a set of those building blocks that are the building blocks of your divine light structure. They've always been there. But in this time of forgetting, it's as though those spindles or those blocks of light, those lines of light, have been laying in a pile at your feet or laying in a pile near you somewhere. And they've just been waiting for the right time. And this is now the right time, the exact right timing. They've been waiting there dormant, but very much alive and very willing and excited and ready to come fully into the structure that they inherently are meant to be as you, as the light, the inner light temple that is you, that is your energy body structure. So we'll invite you again, like we did in part 2. You can either be doing this for the first time or just remembering and coming back into it from having done it before in that part 2 video. We invite you now to imagine this pile of spindles of light, the building blocks of light that are you, possibly still lying there dormant on the ground, or maybe already having come into the temple that is you if you've done this already. If they're lying there on the ground or lying there somewhere near you, you can imagine now they each have an intelligence and a life and a light of their own, and they know exactly how to form into that light temple being that is you in the way that is precisely right for you here and now and in each and every moment. So you can imagine these spindles of light, again, if they're on the floor or near you somewhere, they just lift themselves up gently, yet with beautiful, graceful power. And they move into being in your body, in your being. They move into the structure of the temple that is you. And not necessarily always, but often, typically, this light being structure that is you will often be sort of like a tent or a teepee, or again, a temple up at the top of your head. So the point often will be right at the point, the top of your head, with where your crown chakra is. And you can imagine these spindles of light just coming into complete, total balance and harmony, gently, gracefully, yet with incredible divine knowing and power and strength. And you can take a deep breath and let this settle into your body and into your being, that this structure, this light being structure that is you, is powerfully, gently, completely, fully constructed. And it can click fully and completely into place in the being that is you, in the body that is you, right here, right now. And you can take a deep breath and just relax and let yourself sink fully into being held by this structure, by this being that is you. You can completely let go. It's got you. And if you're feeling a need to just be with this structure that is you, this light being temple structure that is you, we invite you to stay with this being, with this feeling, as long and as often and whenever you need. You absolutely don't need to rush or move on to the next part at, at all. You can stay here as long as you like. And if and when you feel ready, then we're going to offer you the next component. So the next component, and also actually, if you want to go more deeply into this first part that we've just done, again, go back to video number 2, tips for highly Uranian time, part 2. That's where we go more in depth into this part. But now, if and when you are ready, next, this light grid, this light being structure that is you, is not only you. This component that has come back into form and come back into construction of you absolutely is uniquely and only you. But it is sort of like an electric wire that is ready to plug into a socket, let's say a blender or some kind of appliance. The electricity to power up that blender is not going to flow unless the electrical cord is plugged into the socket. So that's sort of somewhat similar for you. It is absolutely beautiful and perfect for you to stay just in your own energy body and your own energy being as often and as long as you need or like. But then the other component, if and when you're ready, is to come fully back online, not only in this beautiful, new, yet ancient energy structure of light, of the light grid that is you. It's also then to come fully back, to plug back in that light structure being that is you into the light grid and the web of the intelligence of the divine, of the all that is, the everything, the wholeness, the oneness of all of time, all of space, the whole light grid of everything in the whole time space continuum and beyond. So if and when you feel ready, you can take a long, slow, deep breath. And first, you can feel down all the way into the center of the earth, the light of the heart of Mother Gaia Earth, sparking awake, filling her body, filling her whole being, and the whole light grid of her body and her being. And this light grid is often synonymous with the ley lines, but the earth, just like you, has infinite energy bodies, body systems, and the ley lines are one version of that, and the light grid of her body and being are another version of that, certainly related, not necessarily identical, but very similar. So you can see and feel in your whatever way is just right for you, how in her own body and her own being, this whole light grid of her self, her existence is coming fully back together and back into being, just like with you. And you can feel now, with joy and love and reverence and excitement and friendship and unity, you can feel the light of the heart of Mother Gaia Earth spark awake and fill her whole body, her whole light grid throughout her whole being. And then that light also rises up and connects through the base of your body, also to your feet, to your whole light grid being. That light of the heart of Mother Gaia Earth then rises up into your being. And in a sense, you can imagine yourself like a Christmas tree, or like a menorah, or like any other version of beautiful lights lighting up all through your being, with the light that is you, but also the light of that light grid that is you, and then also the light of the heart of Mother Gaia Earth and her whole light grid becoming one with your light grid. And then you can similarly feel the light of the heart of Source itself lighting up. You can imagine lighting up the whole light grid throughout all of time, throughout all of space, like a massive, infinite kind of Christmas tree or menorah or any other light crystal being. And as the light of Source is lighting up the whole entire light grid of everything, of all of time, all of space, all of existence, that light also connects in with the top of your head and with the top of that temple being that is you, the crystalline light being that is you. And that light grid that is you, the temple that is you, as those spindles that have come back together into the one, into the whole, they are now fueled by and tapped in fully to the light grid of Earth, and then the light grid of Source, and the light grid of everything, all as one. So this is reality. This is wholeness. This is the web of the actual intelligence of the divine as you, as all things. This is time and space as the one. Within that diamond, crystalline, pyramid-shaped crystal, the womb, the chrysalis of existence. And we just invite you just to be with this for a moment, or for as long as you need. You can feel yourself tapped fully, completely, light to light to light to light, into that light grid of the earth, into the light grid of source itself, the light grid of the existence of all of time, all of space, all as one. The light grid of your own body, your own being, all as one. And again, we invite you just to be with this. So here, what is most important, as we said earlier, is not so much that you experience things in any particular one way or any other way. It's not that there's no right and there's no wrong way of experiencing this or doing this. Mainly what we want to be giving you the opportunity for is to just be this. And your body, your being is going to come alive in the way that is exactly right for you. And that is exactly true to you. So we're going to name a couple of things that may be true, but we're entering this cautiously because we mainly want to give you space and time to just let this be as you. And then when we meet again on April 19th in the live gathering, which will also be recorded, which we would love to hold space for you at, then we'll move into the next part of this. But between now and then, we would just love to give you the opportunity just to be with this. So again, just to name a few things that may or may not be true for you, but that often can be true. When you are now tapped into the whole light grid of existence, into the whole web of the intelligence of the divine, You're now tapped into the reality of all of time and all of space being the one. So you now can see, hear, feel, experience, and know any moment throughout all of time, throughout all of space, in whatever way is exactly right for you. The doorways of particular times and spaces may not open for you in a given moment if it's not right for you. But if it is right for you, absolutely all of time and all of space is completely accessible in this way of being. And again, this way of being is the natural way of being in the remembering. This is true. So we would love to just offer you the opportunity again, just to be with this and just to feel what it is to know and see and feel the intelligence of all things in this exact moment without going anywhere, without needing to travel ahead or behind or to another place, to just be in the totality, the completeness of the one. Again, it's like you're in this pyramid shaped crystal. And that crystal contains literally everything. So you don't need to go anywhere. It's right here. And part of what maybe is happening in this moment as you're just being with this is that literally the synapses of your brain, your physical brain, your energy body brain, but also your whole being. The synapses of your whole being are learning, they're reconnecting to the synapses of the intelligence of everything. So we feel a need to just give you time and space to let those connections be happening and to let your body and your being relax into it and just be held. And we invite this to be a gentle, gentle, gentle experience, soothing, calming, loving, deeply loving. Again, you're just remembering who you actually are. You've been in this time of forgetting, and now it's like you're waking up from a dream, and we're here holding you as you wake up slowly. So, what you begin to remember in this way of being might be quite unique to you. There might be certain themes that are similar for many of you, but it also might be very unique to you. So again, first we just for a while invite you just to be with this. And if you want to begin to notice some themes that are alive for you, again, we'll just name a few that might be true and might not be true. What all of it is good. There's no right and there's no wrong. So some of the themes that might come alive are an ability to be present here and now with any and all time and any and all place, as you, in you, and also to access any and all knowledge that is needed truly in your absolute highest good only, and truly needed by you in any given moment. This grid of existence is the knowing of everything. So again, you likely won't access anything and everything, because anything and everything wouldn't necessarily be in your best interest or in the highest good of the all that is, or in your own highest good. But anything and everything that is in your absolute radical highest good and in the highest good of the all that is right here. So there might be very strong knowing that will come alive. And maybe not. Again, whatever is right for you is perfect, is just right. Another theme that might be true for you is a sense of healing and peacefulness and ease in your body, in your being. This Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is in Taurus. So it's really about the intelligence of the divine as this light grid of existence, but also, again, as your body. And as the spindles come back online, and as you connect to the whole light grid of the earth and source and the all that is, that is supporting your body, your actual physical body, your emotional body, every aspect of your being to come into the radical balance and harmony of the all that is. So you might feel that as a balancing of some kind, an easefulness, peace, gentleness, calm, contentment, joy, love, deep smiling. So we'll leave it there for now, and we'll continue next at the April 19th gathering. So please join us if that calls to you, either live or recorded. And many, many blessings to you in this time of great remembering. You are a blessing in this time of great remembering, literally. So thank you. We're deeply grateful and honored to be with you, to be supporting you in this time. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so you can stay with this as long as you need, as long as you want. And when the time feels right, you can come back to your body by rubbing your hands on your arms, rubbing your hands on your legs, bringing your hands to your heart, and come fully back into the body and the being that is you and the earth here and now. And then release anything and everything that is not in your absolute radical highest good and in the highest good of the all that is in this moment and every single moment. Just let it release back into source itself, and allow to anchor in anything and everything that is in your absolute radical highest good and in the highest good of the all that is. And thank you again so much for being here. All right. So to be continued on April 19th, apparently. Thank you so much for joining me. Clearly, if you feel called to be at the April 19th gathering or listen to the recording, it's all free. Please join me with the link here, and I'll see you soon.